actually just won the best marketer on LinkedIn for the APAC region.
Our next guest
which is
an entrepreneur that has been disrupting the lead generation industry through the world's largest
Bibby is an entrepreneur disrupting the way businesses generate leads online.
Joined by marketing consultant Nathaniel Bibby of Bibby Consulting Group. Nathaniel actually just won the best marketer on LinkedIn for the APAC.
Social media marketing award last year was recognised.
All right, enough of that stuff. How's it going, everyone? Monday Night Live. We're in the house. May have even dropped in a little bit early, so go figure. Drop in the comments. Let me know you're breathing. Let me know you're alive. I just had a quick look on my phone. It looks like everything's working correctly. Drop in the comments. Say hello. Let me know where you're tuning in from. We're doing Monday Night Live on a Friday in Perth and a Thursday for you guys in the US. Which is different, but we've got a jet setter in the house tonight. And Scott, let me tell you a little bit about Scott. So Scott's a good friend of mine. We've already got Jason dropping in the comments. Welcome to Australia. Congrats on joining Sea Trade Cruise as a partner. Scott is a mover and shaker, to say the least. I met Scott back in my Phuket days when he was a big thing on Twitter. Still is a big thing on Twitter. I didn't understand social media at the time. I was big on email marketing, Google AdWords, and I couldn't understand why Scott was spending all this time on his phone. And he was way ahead of the curve. He's been an influencer in travel and hospitality for, I would say it must be about 20 years. Hi, Emma. Hi, Jeff. How you doing? I'll get Scott to confirm that. It might even be longer than that. But he literally travels around the world, flying, with airlines that sponsor him. He reviews airlines, business class, first class. He goes to hotels, tries out the best venues, the best nightclubs, the best food, the best wines, goes to the best parties. And that's his job, and it looks very glamorous from the outside, but we're going to find out if it's as glamorous as it looks when we bring him on. So give Scott a big warm welcome, everyone. I want to see everybody dropping in the chat, and have a think as well when I bring Scott on and give him a bit of an introduction. One of the questions that you would like to ask Scott tonight? If you're looking to build a personal brand, there's no one better to ask. Like, Scott is flying around the world. That it looks like he's having fun, but what he's doing is building a global brand. And he's just been ranked number 15 in hospitality this year. I've seen him in the top 10 plenty of years. He's been doing it for a long time, and as we know, consistency is the key. So I think he's the legend of the game, and I would bring on Mr. Scott Eddy. How you doing, brother?
How's it going, everybody? I see. What's up, Jason, Emma, Jeff? Oh my God! So Andrew Hickey, when I tell you this guy, we have never met in real life, but we've been connected on social for so long. He's one of the best travel PRs in the world. Wow. So yeah, you got a good crew here, man. Yeah,
cool. We're live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. I took a 2-year break from Monday Night Live when my daughter was born, and we just started it up in January again. So it's exciting. We're kind of in the beginning phase again. I'm really enjoying it. But you've been in social media since before most people knew it was a thing, right?
Yeah.
When did
before I even knew it was a thing. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing back in the day. I mean, it's you were saying I was always on my phone or whatnot, but I was just posting and being active, like when social media first came out. So how it all happened was I moved to Thailand probably 5 years before social media even came out. So after I got all the partying and everything out of my blood, and social media came out, and I started the digital agency, then I realized that the whole world was going digital. And if you didn't move fast, if you didn't innovate, then you're just going to be left behind. And it's just further proof what I was thinking then to where we are now, because I still talk to brands that are still thinking like it's 2005. And I'm like, You're dead. You're going to get swallowed up by the competition.
Yes, absolutely. I think when we started hanging out, you already had somewhere close to 1 million, if not more than 1 million followers on Twitter. You were already
Yeah.
pretty well established. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what really got the personal brand thing going, even though it wasn't personal brand thing wasn't a thing there. Hey, Kat, um, is I was the first American expat in any Asian country with 1 million followers on Twitter, which got me
Wow.
front page news, which got me exposure, which got me clients, which really
Yeah.
blew up the agency. Since then, Twitter changed a lot, and they there's a lot of people that left and whatnot. I think I have like close to 600 now, but something like that. It's a shame where it is now.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay. So when did you make the shift from running the digital agency to moving into hospitality specifically?
So even the digital agency, all my clients were hotels and restaurants. So I was still in hospitality, but that's where I really learned about marketing in hospitality. So I owned the agency for 5 years and then I sold it. And then I just started, you know, so then social media wasn't mature enough for you to make a living at it. So while I was using a big audience to get me into meetings and to sit me down at the table with the right people, it was still me versus them. It wasn't my audience that I was using to sell anything. So I was helping entrepreneurs and people in the mostly hotel space build out brands all over. So I moved to Manila for a year because an English guy was starting a new hotel brand. It never worked out, but I was there for 11 months. And then I went to Sri Lanka for the same reason. And then I was in Europe for 7 years and then came back to the States in 2015. But that is when things really got mature and my brand really went to the next level. I got the TV show and just blew up when I came back to the States.
Yeah, the TV show. That how many years ago was that? A few years ago, Globetrotter, right?
Video Globetrotter, and that was right before the pandemic. And actually, the premiere episode launched a few months into the pandemic, which the writing was on the wall that it wasn't going to last, but it was still cool. I mean,
Yep.
I got a lot of experience how to film a TV show, and we filmed all over the world, and
Yep.
yeah, it was good. First
Yeah.
travel series on Lifetime, so that's always great.
So do you remember, I like asking these curly questions, but do you remember, one of the biggest hospitality brands that you felt like when they said, yes, let's do business together, that you'd really, you really made it there? What was the big one?
So, well, I did the first campaign for Star Alliance. Star
Oh, yeah.
Alliance, even though they're a huge loyalty program, they're terrible on social and they really don't do much. It's just sort of an umbrella that other airlines use. But it was me and 6 other travel bloggers and travel writers. We did each a different sector. I did the luxury sector, somebody else did adventure and wine and whatever. And I did 6 countries in 36 days on 4 different continents. And
Wow.
it was very, very interesting. It was cool.
Yeah.
So with all the member airlines, and it was really great. And then right after that, back to back, I did F1 in Monaco
Wow.
and then Singapore. So that was a good couple months. That was
Yeah. So back then, like it was pretty, influencer marketing was still pretty immature.
Yes.
How are you finding these? Were you reaching out to these brands? Were they reaching out to you? How did it work?
So I have never reached out cold to a brand.
Really?
But so I find that the more active I am on social, and because I'm active on every platform, it works. But I find that the more active I am on social, the more incoming business comes my way. And,
Yeah.
I'm connected to the right people. I'm connected to tons of PR people, tons of hospitality decision makers on every platform,
Yep.
whether it's on Facebook, I'm connected to CMOs for some of the biggest brands in the world. And because I post constantly, they always have an idea from what I'm doing that they want me to do that for their brand.
Yep.
So, all I'm doing is triggering thoughts and ideas all the time, and it just so happens to click. Now, I will say that, yeah, Jason, I will say that it's not the same as it was pre-pandemic. I
Yep.
can definitely tell now that, I mean, the business is saturated. Who doesn't want to do what I do and travel the world and get paid for it and this and that? But it's not that easy. So now, if it makes it any sense at all, brands are even getting more like they do things that just don't make sense. Whereas now you have so many people entering the business that they would rather hire somebody that knows nothing about your brand, nothing about the industry, because they're free,
Yeah.
versus paying somebody who's established, who understands. So this is my competition these days. People
Yep.
that know nothing, that brands are just hiring because they're free.
Yeah, understood. Okay. Yeah, interesting. Okay. So you always come across to me as somebody who's always got it figured out. What's one of the most challenging things that you've encountered in your career?
You mean other than the pandemic and business going to zero?
I thought you might go there. Yeah, why not? Other than the pandemic.
I mean, yeah, I mean, listen, the pandemic was, it was, obviously the pandemic was terrible. It was horrible. People lost their lives, people lost everything. But at the same time, the pandemic was good for a lot of industries. It washed out a lot of garbage, especially in this industry. But then it brought on a whole new wave of garbage, if that makes sense. Um, you know, first off, I don't see myself as just a content creator. I come from a business background, investment banking, so I understand the numbers behind marketing. So I understand that I'm not just here to create content, I'm here to create impact and ROI.
Yeah.
The second thing is, in my experience, I've been in digital marketing since before social media was even, mature. I understand the strategy behind the content. So I don't just do content creation. So now one of my most popular services is brands are hiring me to come in to do a social media workshop with their whole team.
Yeah.
And we're going in and doing either a half a day or 4 day or whatever it is. And we're really doing a deep dive. We're doing a social media audit. We're teaching them how to use these platforms. And it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I do a lot of that as well. The Emma just mentioned that we're frozen. Is anyone else experiencing that? Just let us know in the chat if you're having trouble with the connection. Everything looks fine at my end, but yeah, let me know if it's not showing up clearly for you. We'll look into it a bit more. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know what the hospitality world's like, but I do a lot of financial services, like a lot of banks, and they have these social media policies, and they're like, we've got this social media policy to try and encourage people to post, and all it is just all these rules, and so people just look at it and go, I'm not going to bother with this. Yeah.
A lot of companies, and it doesn't matter what industry you're in, a lot of companies will say, okay, that's it. I'm getting enough pressure. I'll hire somebody for social media. And then they think they check the box. Then what they do is then they give them 15 job responsibilities to do on top of the social media. And then, once you get done with those things, then when you get a chance, post on Facebook. And they think they just check the box, and they don't understand that, like, social media is where it's at. Like, it's the main pipeline for information.
Yeah. Yeah. And you post a lot. So what is your thoughts around, do you think you can post too much?
If you're asking me honestly, no, I don't. I think that, especially these days, because nothing is chronological, you might get some people that, okay, I posted it just now and you see it right away. But that's very rare. Nobody's timeline is chronological. I mean, there are days when I post 2 or 3 TikToks literally back to back to back, and like nobody's complaining, because these days these days the old algorithm is gone. You know, TikTok changed the world. It's an interest-based graph now. So when you post something, they just tease it to maybe 50 or 100 people or 20 people, whatever it is. And then if those people like it, then they'll show more people that same with the same mindset. And if those people like it a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. So it's not like it's going on anybody's timeline.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. And you'll still know if it's too often because you just stop getting as much engagement, right?
I mean, listen, you have to have a strategy. I mean, there's too many companies out there that just do not have a strategy. They're just posting because society says to post, so I'm going to post. First off, you have to reverse engineer everything that you're doing. What do you want to do? Do you want people to talk about your brand 20 years from now? Do you want to sell rooms next week? Do you want people to book that trip? Do you want people to buy your financial service? You know, whatever it is, you have to figure out what the end result is and then work backwards from there.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you're doing the influencer trips, you get into the room with a lot of important people. Can you tell us about a time when maybe a casual conversation led to a big opportunity?
You got to repeat that. You did freeze for a second.
Okay. Can you tell us about a time when a dinner or a casual conversation that you had while you were doing one of your trips led to a game-changing deal?
So it's really funny. The first time I went to the Maldives and we were doing a photo shoot for these two incredible properties, Harawali and Kududu. They were unbelievable. So I'm there with 3 video guys, and we just arrived, and the next day we're doing cocktails before dinner, and I happen to bump into one of my friends from Bangkok. And we end up having dinner with him and drinks and this and that. And then the next morning, he happens to send me a message telling me that his uncle saw the Instagram posts that we did the night before. And, oh, yeah, do I have time to get on a phone call? So that actually turned into a 6-month consulting deal.
There you go. Yeah. Wow.
I mean, it just
that happens all the time, right? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but it doesn't happen because, you know, I have good karma that falls out of my head. It's that I'm very active on social and I'm very social in real life.
Yeah.
So I use the phone. You know, people see me on the phone all the time, but I use the phone to get to this, to get to that real authentic relationship. And, you know, let's meet in person as soon as possible. You know, some people just use the phone because they don't want to meet anybody in person. There's a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think this will be valuable for the guys listening. You're really good at building relationships. I mean, that's what you're doing on whether it's social media, in person.
It's the only thing that matters. Yeah.
What advice could you give to some of the small business owners or marketers or salespeople listening about, in this day and age, how they should be thinking about building relationships?
You know, it's first off, they have to get in it. I mean, I think that every owner or manager or the face of the company, I think that they need to be involved with the marketing in a big way. I love when owners, you know, are on videos and just talking. You know, you don't have to, you know, one thing great that came out of the pandemic is these raw, unedited, shaky phone videos. They do great. They do wonderful. You know why? Because people can see that it's real and it's authentic.
Yes.
People love it. I think that they need to be involved a lot with the marketing. I think it just helps. People like to deal with people. They do not like to deal with brands. You know, the more visible you are, the better. And listen, the best way to develop a relationship on social media to create that ROI is to actually care about what you post. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is a lot of people post just to post. When you post, that's the beginning. The race just started. Now, when people comment, what are you doing? Typically, brands just ghost everything once they post. There's no replies. They don't answer questions if people ask. I mean, that's where the ROI is, in the comments.
Yeah.
The post is just the beginning. You're at the starting line.
Yeah. I love the way you worded that. Absolutely. And what about commenting on other people's posts? How important is that?
Absolute gold. So here's what I tell people that aren't active on social media because they just don't have the time. So Lydia's great, man. Here's what I tell people that are not active. Set alarms on your phone. Okay? Everybody uses alarms on your phone. So set alarms on your phone. Take 30 minutes every single day. That sounds like a lot, but you're going to break it up. You're going to do 6 times 5-minute increments, and you're going to space it out an hour, 90 minutes, 2 hours, however long your day is. Okay. And you go on. First 5 minutes, you're going to reply to all the comments that happened the day before. Next 5 minutes, you're going to, I don't know, whatever business that you're in, like you're in Perth, you're in marketing in Perth. So search for Perth marketing or Perth finance, whatever it is, and just look up some random videos and just start commenting, but not a smiley emoji and then go on to the next one. Watch the actual video or the post, read the whole caption, and think of something thoughtful to say. This is how you become a thought leader in your industry. And then the next 5 minutes, do something else, like take your phone and talk about your industry or talk about your company, or if you're a hotel, talk about whatever, like talk about the person that's worked for valet for 25 years. Talk about your happy hour specials. Talk about, okay, like I'm the GM and like sometimes this gets frustrating, this job. Let me just tell you about a day in the life of a GM. Because all I do is put out fires and deal with ungrateful employees. Like just talk. It makes you more human.
Yeah.
You know, everybody can do 6 times 5 minutes a day. Everybody.
Yeah.
If you can't, you're lying to yourself.
Yeah. You got to put it into your routine. All right. So what's one of the brands like in hotels, hospitality, travel that's doing it really well?
You know who I love, and I use them as an example for marketing in a lot of conferences when I'm speaking, is Aman Hotels, Aman Resorts. You know, I mean, listen, their ownership is a complete nightmare. It's always been messed up. They've always had, sales and disagreements and whatnot, but front facing, I mean, their properties are absolutely flawless. Their marketing is impeccable. Their photography, their videos, their verbiage on their posts, their just everything that they do for marketing wise is absolutely flawless.
Yeah.
I'm in love with the brand, but I'm going to tell you, okay, forget about hospitality. I'm going to tell you who does it right and fun.
Yeah.
Who you need to, like if you want to create a brand that, like, when I tell you people love, like you want to create brand evangelists forever, look at the fast food industry. I'm serious. Look at the way McDonald's does it. Look at the way Dunkin' Donuts does it. Look at the way Oreo cookies, like all the bad food. They're fantastic at marketing because they have to be, because they're selling you garbage. So they have to be great at marketing. Look at Absolute Vodka. It's in a bottle. It's garbage.
Yeah. Well, people react to social media based on emotion. People forget that. Especially in B2B where I operate, A lot of them are just, approaching social media with logic. They forget about things like positioning and branding and all that sort of stuff. It's very important. What's one thing people always get wrong about the influencer marketing game? What's often misunderstood?
People think that it's just one and done. And it's not. I tell people all the time, I get asked, what I get asked a lot? I get asked to post about a hotel, like a big resort, to post about a hotel and not go there. And I'm like, I would never in a million years do that. Like, why would I ever say that I like something and that it's a wonderful experience that you should go if I've never done it myself? I would never do that. And you know what a lot of brands are doing now? They're trying to form deals with content creators and influencers and whatnot, bloggers. And in the contract, they have give us a 5-star review on TripAdvisor and Google Review.
Yeah.
That is the most underhanded, horrible thing that you could ever ask somebody in my world. Yeah. Now, I do reviews, but I don't do reviews on every place that I go, but I'll do a review on a place if I watch them, how they deal with the regular guests, because I know they're going to treat me special, but I want to see how they deal with like nobody.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to comment on.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's underhanded.
So if you do get sponsored by a brand to go somewhere and it's not fantastic, how do you approach that?
So I've never had it happen in 15 years. But if there's a certain thing that I don't like at the resort, I just won't talk about it because I won't throw the brand under the bus unless it is a horrible experience from beginning to end. I will never, ever, ever throw a brand completely under the bus publicly. I just won't talk about it. And people, listen, people aren't your audience. If they know you, and my audience knows me. I mean, they know my niece's name. They know me so well. They know if I'm posting normal amount or minimal amount. So they know if I'm having fun or not. Like this last trip that I was on, I counted. I did 189 stories in 3.5 weeks on Instagram.
Wow.
Stories. Yeah. I mean, but it was like one of the most incredible trips I've ever been on in my life. It was unbelievable. It was crazy. It was, I mean, people know,
Yep. So a lot of people in my audience want to stand out from their competition. Some of them are in B2B, some of them are in finance. Like we've got a lot of guys in finance, marketing. What's your best advice for somebody looking to break through and stand out from the rest of the competition on social media?
So first off, you have to start with making a list. Okay. How are you different from everybody else in your industry? And then what I would do is take that list and try to come up with topics for videos to do. Talking about how you're different.
Yeah.
Because, and I tell brands this all the time, and they're all afraid to do it. They're like, why would I do that? Then my competitor is going to know what I'm better at, and then they're going to hire somebody that's better than me. And then they're all scared.
Yeah.
I got news for you. They're not going to take it that far.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of effort. And this is why nobody does it. You just, listen, you have to go fast. You have to test and learn. And the more you do, the better you get. I mean, listen, if you've never worked out in your life and you go to the gym tomorrow, how are you going to feel tomorrow night? You're going to feel dead. You're going to feel like jelly. But if you do that every day for the next 3 weeks, how are you going to feel that last day of the third week? It's going to be a lot easier, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with content.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly that. You've got to learn from experience. But what about somebody who's not like is more of an introvert, not naturally outgoing? I mean, because at the end of the day, what we're talking about is building relationships. So there's more than one way to do it, right? What would your advice be to them?
100%. Listen, do you ultimately have to put your face on camera to be successful? Absolutely not. Maybe you're more of a writer. Listen, written posts on LinkedIn, kill it.
Yeah.
Written posts on Instagram carousels created with Canva on multiple pages, kill it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you don't have to put your face out there. Now,
Yeah.
will it accelerate and amplify everything that you're doing? 100%.
Yeah.
But it's not 100% necessary. You have to figure out what you're good at. Some people it's the written word. Some people it's video. Some people want to do something else. I mean, there's so many things. Listen, I never went to school. I don't have a degree. I don't know, like I never went for marketing or finance or anything. I learn everything. I watch YouTube 2-3 hours every single day. And I watch people that are very, very much better than me. I watch conferences from all around the world. I listen to CMOs from every company in the world. And I just learn. I take notes. I just learn. I try to get better every day.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good advice. If you had to start over from scratch today with no connections, no following, how would you go about building your brand?
I would post. So I get this question quite often.
I would. Unique.
Especially now because social media is so mature and it's so saturated. Like there's a lot of people that not only want to start, but they want to delete everything that they've done and start again.
Yeah, I feel like that sometimes. Yep.
So what I would do is I would pick a niche, but I wouldn't niche down too much. Like I know content creators in the food space that are so pigeonholed in that food space that they can never do anything else.
Yeah.
So I would niche down myself like hospitality, even though but I have a lot to work. I can do cruise lines, hotels, destinations, restaurants, wineries, whatever, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So and I would be super aggressive. I would probably do 2 or 3 30 to 1 minute videos, 30-second to 1 minute videos, and I would post every single day on every single platform.
Wow.
But you have to understand one thing. Every platform is not the same. So doing one video and hitting share to all platforms, that is not the way to build a brand. Every platform has its own personality. Every platform caters to a different demographic. Like if you're on Facebook, there's lots of people out there. Like people are more emotional on Facebook than any other platform. Why? Because their family's on there. Babies are on there. Your aunts and uncles are on there. Your grandparents are on there. So it doesn't matter if you're a brand, you already caught the person at their most emotional mentality that they can be at.
Wow.
So why not use that emotion?
Yeah. Very interesting.
LinkedIn is turning more and more into Facebook every day, which it sounds like a bad thing. It's an awesome thing. It's fantastic. It's unbelievable. I mean, you see me now. Sometimes I post twice a day. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's gold. You're reaching the right people. So you're still connected to those business type people, but now you're starting to get like really personal with them. I mean, it's money in the bank. I'm telling brands to go more on LinkedIn, and they're like, well, what do I need? I'm not looking for a job. And I'm like, oh yeah, you really pay attention to the industry. Like, you got to keep your finger on the pulse, man. You got to know what's going on.
Yeah. No, and influencer marketing's taken off on LinkedIn now, and they just introduced last year the mobile video feed like TikTok and Instagram Reels. So short form videos blowing up. So it's changing. It's very, very interesting at the moment. We've got some great questions, Nathaniel. Someone likes my questions. Fantastic. Thanks for being here, guys. By the way, if you do have any questions for Scott, do drop them in the comments. It's a great opportunity to learn from Scott about building a brand. What's one of the biggest lessons that you've learned in business, Scott?
You got to say that again. You froze for a bit. Sorry.
Okay. What's one of the biggest lessons that you've learned in business? Did you catch that?
You have to invest. You have to invest in yourself twice as much as you're investing in the brand. In other words, your knowledge is going to take you to the next level. There's nothing. There is nothing out there that is going to take you to the next level. You see that from Jeff, right? There is nothing out there that's going to take you to the next level like knowledge. So, I mean, I'm telling you right now that you absolutely, I mean, we do have the same haircut. We do. There's nothing out there that's going to take you to the next level than taking an extra 15, 20 minutes a day and learning something new on YouTube.
Huge,
you guys understand that there's no college in the world that gives you more free education than YouTube, right? It's unbelievable, guys. Like it's crazy.
Well, we'll get into some of these questions in a sec. I just want to ask you before I forget, because I was thinking about it earlier. What's your approach to storytelling? Because you do talk about storytelling. You're obviously posting, stories all the time. Is it something that comes naturally to you, or do you use some sort of tactic or strategy with it?
It does not come naturally to me. I mean, if you really think about it, I mean, probably not when you were a kid, but when I was a kid, if you were considered a storyteller, that means you told lies. That's what your parents would call you if you were lying. So, I mean, I've always been kind of a storyteller, especially when I was growing up. But I just think that people don't want to be sold to, but people always will listen to a good story. I mean, I'm out here in like a town, a very small town, and it's cold right now, and we do campfires every night, right?
Cool.
I mean, I can't go out there and just talk about like sporting events and this and that. I mean, everybody's telling stories. Everybody's telling, a story from Europe and a story that happened, 100 years ago with their great grandparents. And I mean, that's when it really gets interesting. And listen, I'm not always the best storyteller out there, but I listen to a lot of personal branding experts on YouTube, and I watch a lot of conferences, and sometimes there's like spectacular speakers. I mean, I'm okay, but these people are worth their weight in gold, and I just take notes all the time.
I think it seems to me like you're always looking for stories.
Always.
That's the thing.
Always.
You've got your story goggles on, and you're going out and experiencing stuff, so you're going to come across more things to share.
I also think that people take for granted what's already in front of their face. You're in a small town, you're in a big city, whatever it is, understand that you see the same thing every single day. But when you're marketing that area or your business or whatever it is, it's new to them.
100%. All right, let's move on to some of the audience's questions here. Tiffany, are there any platforms you would consider a waste of time?
What's going on, Tiff? I think you already know how I'm going to answer this because I've known you for so long. I do not think that there's a waste of time. Listen, right now, I would say at the top of that list is Twitter. But I still don't think that's a waste of time because you just never know what's going to happen tomorrow. I just did a tweet earlier today, or X or whatever you want to call it now, I just did it because I just want to stay active because you never know what's going to happen. You know, like there was the big thing that TikTok was going to get banned in the US and this and that, and it lasted like 3 hours. Like, come on, guys, like you can't take your foot off the gas. Okay, if it happens, it's done. There's
Yeah.
9 other forms to concentrate on. You know,
What's going on on Twitter?
thing
What's going on Twitter? I've never ever been that big on Twitter at all. What's happened is just not getting the same reach.
it's just like even before Elon bought it, I mean, everybody could bet, you know, berate him or whatever. I don't want to get into a whole political thing, but I mean, it was even happening before he bought it. So I mean, it's just not where it used to be. The engagement, I mean, there's no reason that I get no engagement with almost 600,000 people.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. And so is it still the primary platform for the media?
I mean, they're there.
Yep, they're there.
Like that's where I made all my PR connections.
Yeah,
but
I remember you
that's
telling
where I
me
made
about
all my
that.
PR connections back in the day. But now there is a lot of private Facebook groups that we're all in. So I don't really need Twitter. It's a nice to have, but it's not going to make a difference if it goes under tomorrow. But one thing I will say, and a lot of brands do not take advantage of this. One of the best drivers of traffic to your website is Pinterest.
Really?
I mean, listen, I'm not active on there. I wish I had somebody full-time just doing that, but I'm telling you right now, there is no better driver of traffic to your website other than Pinterest right now. No social media platform will ever compete with the numbers that they're doing right now. It's just, it's unbelievable.
So
and the
I
growth
guess
just
the
doesn't
images
stop.
rank well, and then the images drive traffic. Yeah, okay. Interesting.
Yes, Lydia,
cool.
Pinterest. Tiff knows about Pinterest. Yeah, it's unbelievable.
I want to highlight something Scott said as well about, you know, Twitter's doesn't matter if Twitter goes down. I'm going over here. You know, that's the advantage with being cross-platform, because if you're single point sensitive and you're only active on one platform, you know, they could change the algorithm tomorrow. Your reach dies, and all of a sudden, doesn't matter how many followers you have. You know, really important to network with people on multiple platforms.
And there's another thing, you know, like how many businesses out there? How many businesses out there? How many actually do you have a brand voice? What is your voice? Is it professional? Is it fun? Is it humorous? Is it informational? Is it like just you got to have a voice and you got to know what that is. You got to have your digital infrastructure in place before you go all in. And again, this takes having people doing this full time. This takes sitting down with your team, everybody being on the same page. You know, do you have your brand's core values written down? And does everybody have these pillars? What are your pillars? What are your content pillars? You know, what kind of audience are you going after? What is your dream demographic? Now, what you dream and what actually happens may be two different things, but you got to have a target.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it becomes really important when you're talking about a company, big company brand, having that all documented so that you're not all over the place makes a huge difference. And you're right, they are so behind the 8 ball. The bigger the company is, the harder it is for them to execute on this. 100% agree with that. Well, what would you say is the most underrated skill in marketing? I'm making him think.
So the most underrated skill in marketing is, so it's not something that you would think that I would say, being able to make a decision without getting approval from 15 people above you. having the freedom, now not to go wild, but having the freedom to actually do what you need to do without, because listen, social media marketing is fast. Things move fast. You know, I mean, that's how you learn. That's how you get ahead of trends.
Yeah, and that's why the bigger companies are the furthest behind, because it's just they can't move as fast.
Correct.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Don't ever stop. Don't ever settle for where you're at right now. For me, and it was a conversation that I was having with somebody about how much content to push out. And, like it's always a debate. Like I don't want to inundate my followers. They don't need to see me every day. And they don't like to see me that much in their timeline. And I'm like, I just don't understand. How do you know your audience this well, but yet they provide no ROI for you? Like all these people, these are the people that do nothing for your business, but you care so much about what they think. Who cares if they disappear tomorrow? Like, what's the big deal?
Yep.
They're not going to have effect on your bottom line.
Yep. Good advice. Okay. If you had to pick one of the countries to live forever, where would it be? And by the way, while I was thinking about that, drop in the comments and let me know what your answer is. I'm curious to see.
So I want to say Bangkok because it's my favorite place in the world, but
Thailand's a good choice.
Because the way my life is set up, I just need to be accessible to the East and the West. And it's just, Thailand, it's too inconvenient to live in Bangkok because it just takes too long to do business in other parts of the world. And when I do business, that means me physically going, whether to speak or to do a workshop or to do a campaign. So for me, I'd probably say Lisbon because I lived there for a year. Wow. It was fantastic. It was an unbelievable place. I have lots of friends there. I always look at a few different things. And one of the main things I look at, which is why Bangkok is so appealing to me, is a major international airport very close to the epicenter of the city. And Lisbon has that. That's even closer than Suvarnabhumi in Bangkok.
Yeah, wow. So do you actually have a base or do you constantly travel? I do
have a base but I have a base. Having said that, I don't have a home. So my base is I always get my trips out of South Florida. So I'm either flying out of Fort Lauderdale or Miami. And I have a storage unit there where I swap out my clothes. Like, am I going to Antarctica or am I going to Jamaica? Those are two different types of packing. Those are two very different. So, yeah.
But you don't get tired of traveling? I mean, you've been doing it a long time. You don't get tired of it? You don't get tired of traveling?
No, it's fantastic.
You love it, yeah. I thought so.
I mean, it's the best.
Yeah.
I meat the greatest people all around the world. It's like the best ever.
I know.
Yeah, I'll never stop.
Yeah, I know. I see your pictures and I think, Jesus, man, that's what I'd like to be doing. But I've got a family now. I got my feet well and truly planted.
Well, we got it 20 years ago. Something like that.
Yeah, times have changed, eh? Well, Scott, it's been a pleasure having you on again. Really enjoyed talking to you. You shared some really good advice, about marketing, storytelling, how to build relationships, and just to be more active. I think that's something we can all take away is not overthink it, post more, be active more in the comments. And, if the post doesn't do well, just move on to the next one. Totally fine. Be active across all channels. So I'm glad that you're bullish on LinkedIn as well. We need more hospitality brands on there.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up?
No, there is one thing, and I would just say that if you do take our advice and post a lot more, if something bombs, don't delete it. People, like, I never, ever, ever have deleted the post. You can go back and see my old posts from when me and Nate used to hang out in Phuket, And you could see when I first started Instagram how horribly, horribly terrible I was. But people like to see progress. And
You were
people
active
love to
all the
see
time.
when you
Yep.
were bad. People love to see when you were bad versus where you are now.
Yep.
I mean, yeah. I mean, who cares? I think it's great.
It is. It is. It is. I've looked up quite a few big influencers, and I've got this tool on LinkedIn where you can like view their earliest posts, and it's like you look at them and you think, oh wow, they really started at the beginning as well. They all started in the same place.
It's like it's like the in thing to like archive stuff that were like that you did like 10 years ago. Like, why would you do that? You're an idiot. Like
Yeah.
nobody starts off amazing. Nobody.
Yeah.
Why
Oh,
not
I'm
show
excited for my daughter to look at them one day and see like the historical, you know.
that? Oh my God. Well, maybe some of yours need to be archived.
Yeah. I think there's a few I've had to archive as my career started to advance a bit, but the rest are all good, I think. All right, guys. Thanks for
Exactly.
being here. We'll see you next week. We've got a interesting one about video marketing, which is on Tuesday morning for Perth and Monday night in the States. So we're throwing around the dates a little bit, but we'll see you next week, guys. Thanks for being here, Scott. You're a legend. Appreciate you. And see you later, mate. We'll speak soon.
All right, man. Take care.